Hey guys, today we're driving the all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. This is the top trim black label all-wheel drive. It has a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that makes 250 horsepower, 275 pound-feet of torque. That's made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Let's see how this Nautilus stacks up. It looks great inside and out. I've been seeing quite a few of these around Michigan. We have a striking interior here. A massive screen, I believe it's around 48 inches from side to side, covering the whole top of the dashboard. This skinny little steering wheel so that you can see that screen, and some familiar looking switchgear that we've seen in previous Lincoln models. Let's walk you guys around this. We'll talk about some of my first impressions. I've only spent about an hour and a half in this car so far, so you are going to be getting a more abbreviated review and some more raw first impressions in this video. That's okay. Let's start on the outside. The Nautilus starts around the low to mid 50s for the Premier and Reserve models. This black label is $76,000 plus without options. So just shy of 80 grand here, which is not cheap for what is basically an extended Ford Escape underneath. Powertrain included. It looks sharp, blacked out with this black label. It's a pretty good looking SUV. We have Blue Cruise, which is very nice. 22-inch wheels. Look at these door handles. Actually work pretty nice. Well placed. Tons of room in the back seat. They have extended this a little bit so that it has more interior room for the 2024 model year. Nice high seating position in the back. Legroom for days. Room to stretch out for your feet underneath that front seat. We have heated seats in the rear. No rear climate control though. Just vents. Nice looking cup holders. Some of the interior materials do feel like a nice upgrade. Not all, but some. We have this beautiful Revel Ultima audio system, which we will test out later on in this video. We've seen these seats before from Lincoln, tons of adjustability. They seem to be pretty comfortable for me at 5'10", and then just tons and tons of screens and aesthetic changes inside this Lincoln Nautilus. Nice big panoramic moonroof here. A soft suede headliner. Look at these door handles. That's clever. Very easy to get in and out of. Ingress and egress is fantastic. Nice high roof line. Very sleek design inside and out. Low load floor here. Plenty of room in the back of this. This is just a 2-row crossover. Nice to see a compact spare tire back here. You can fold down that second row with the press of these 2 buttons, and that folds pretty flat. There's quite a bit of space in the back of this. That is nice to see. Whoa, those seats are very, very heavy. I've got to say, on initial impressions, this black label doesn't offer the best value here with the Nautilus. I think I'd be more inclined to go for the Premier or the Reserve, those mid-grade trims for the low to mid-50s. For $76,000, this is coming up a little bit short compared to competition in terms of interior feel, fit, finish, powertrain options, and we haven't even gotten to driving dynamics yet. It is a cool interior space though. Let's pop the hood, take a look at this 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. This also comes as a hybrid, but that is not what we have today. See, there's lots of room here for some hybrid components. Gone is the twin turbo V6. This is averaging around mid-20s combined, 21 miles to the gallon in the city, 29 on the highway. All-wheel drive is standard. So far, what have we seen? Stylish, spacious, modern, a lot of really nice cosmetic changes here to the 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Let's hop up front And let's look at this interior, because I think this is kind of the highlight. Take a look at these seat controls. You don't see them often, but they look really, really nice. Of course, everything that you control with your seats is shown to you on this massive screen. So your lumbar, your bolstering, we have separate buttons for each thigh extension. Let's take a look at these steering wheel buttons. So they're hidden from you until you hover your hand over them, and then whatever you're pressing is reflected in this screen slash kind of head-up display in front of you. Lexus employs a similar system. I think this is a better execution. I still think it's too distracting and a little bit annoying to live with. I would rather just see with my eyes visually what I'm pressing. And you've got your cruise control controls right here. That's shown on the steering wheel. Once you press that, you can go into lane centering or blue cruise on the highway, which actually works pretty well. Tested that out earlier today. But honestly, I think this is a bit of an extra step that's unnecessary and overly distracting when you're actually driving the car. I find myself having to look down at the buttons to see what they're doing, what their functions are, and that can change. Yes, you get more real estate out of these controls. I think ultimately it's just better to have a more simplified setup, but that's just me. Maybe if you live with this car, you'll get used to it. Over here, everything is looking pretty nice. We've got 3-seat memory settings, auto up-down windows on all 4 corners, mirror adjustments. Look at these mirrors. These are very, very small mirrors. They almost look like mirrors you'd see on a rally car to reduce drag. You can't really see very well around you with them because they're so tiny. They're just short and stubby. You do have blind spot monitoring and pretty good visibility in this, but that is just kind of a strange thing. I'm sure it's probably aerodynamics. This element right here with ambient lighting looks really nice. No gloss black plastic here in your high traffic areas. That's nice. It's a good change to see. We've got some gloss black here, but it looks nice. And in the screen here, no complaints about that. No physical controls for climate, but we do have constant icons here on this display. And I actually really like this dual view monitor setup. You've got your CarPlay and Android Auto controls down here. If you route somewhere with the navigation, that's reflected up there in the nav. This has a Google Android-based operating system. It all seems to work pretty well. We've got some physical controls down here to quickly select your drive modes, see your surround camera, defrost, turn off auto stop start. You have to turn that off every time you start up the vehicle. And then you've got your push button shifter right here. This is your volume control, not a scroll wheel, but kind of a crystallized volume control knob like we've seen in many other models in this class from Genesis, from BMW. And then you've got this kind of simplified infotainment here with all of your apps. You can control what widgets are shown up here in this screen. So we can replace weather with tire pressure, or we can choose a calm screen that just gets rid of everything and shows us our speed limit, and all the essentials. Coolant temperature, outside temperature, mileage, remaining fuel. I kind of like the calm screen, to be honest. I'm not convinced on this driving position and kind of the layout of this cabin. The steering wheel feels a little bit low. I feel a little bit too high. The seat doesn't really adjust as low as I would like it to. But I think with some time behind the wheel, I'd get pretty comfortable in this cabin. Steering wheel has good telescoping and angle adjustment. It's just taking some time to get used to this shape and getting in a position that doesn't block the front screen there. I don't have too much of an issue with it because I'm kind of a skinnier dude, but this isn't the nicest material to be kind of banging your leg up against here. It's pretty hard, it's not very soft, and there's this kind of plasticky bit in here. So if you are a little bit wider and you like to stretch out, you like to man spread in your Lincoln, this might be a little bit annoying, especially on a long trip going over bumps or something like that. We have a nice space here for wireless charging, 2 USB ports, a cover to make it all look nice and svelte, 2 cup holders, a little bit of storage in here. It's pretty deep, but overall not that big. Another cigarette lighter plug right there, 2 more USB-C ports. Ooh, what is that? Ooh, violet cashmere. It looks like we've got some scents in here. And I do smell the perfume coming through the vents. There's your sunglass holder, garage door opener, sliding visors, mirror looks good. Quick view of the POV setup there. Okay, well, I think it's time we took this on the road and see how it drives. Does this drive like a $76,000 Lincoln? Or even a $52,000 Lincoln? Brakes are touchy. Suspension is quite softly sprung and damped. It does get a bit floaty and bouncy sometimes. And on these 22-inch wheels, there is some impact harshness over bumps. We have multi-link rear suspension, strut type front suspension, so nothing too fancy here. Typically you see that in your $30,000 crossover. This 2-liter turbo has pretty good low-down torque. No real need to rev this thing out. It doesn't feel like it's underpowered hauling around this Lincoln Nautilus. Steering has a bit of weight to it once you load it up. Let's give it some beans and see how it accelerates. A little bit of lag off the line, but then we're off. Reasonably quiet and refined. A bit of a whooshing noise from the back there. I've heard that in just about every iteration of this 2-liter turbo. Turn signal's nice and loud. It is a cool view from the driver's seat. I'll give Lincoln that much. In my mind, and from behind the wheel, this feels more like cosmetic luxury than actual solid feel and quality. And I guess the platform and the powertrain would reflect that. This does ride on essentially the same platform as the Ford Escape, the Bronco Sport, the Maverick. It's just extended and lengthened to accommodate this larger SUV. Handling is average. Probably below average for the class, but average for any new modern vehicle today. It's capable enough. I think the suspension does lack some refinement. I could use slightly better damping. Let's see how it does over our rough road section here. And there's a lot of body motion. It's soft, but it's kind of busy. It's always just kind of floating around. There is definitely a focus here on comfort. And I think for most drivers, they'll find this to be a pretty comfortable vehicle. I'm sure the 22-inch wheels don't help a lot with ride quality. The 19s would be better suited for our potholed rough Michigan roads, but these 22s do look pretty sweet. Alright, let's see what turning radius is like here. Ooh, very tight. That's impressive. Let's go in here and select Excite, our responsive and engaging drive mode. No paddle shifters or anything like that behind the wheel. You just touch the back of these buttons here on the steering wheel. Let's just roll into it and see what this does from a dig. Good acceleration here at below 50, 60 miles per hour, this has a decent amount of power. It's once you start getting up into highway speeds that this starts to feel like a more anemic powertrain. The hybrid, honestly, might be the better option. Be more fuel efficient too, because it does make a little bit more power. Have not tested that, have not driven that. We'll reserve judgment for that until I do. Let's go back into normal drive mode. The brakes do have a nice strong bite to them. It's just that at low speeds they are slightly difficult to modulate. I feel like I have really good visibility. This front windshield just, I don't know if it's the effect of the wraparound screen or if it's just kind of the lower belt line here, but it feels like I can just see out of this really well. I'm kind of sitting on top of the car rather than inside of it. Pretty quiet at speed too, not a lot of wind noise, road noise. Let's tackle a corner here. Hard on the brakes. Turning in. Good front end bite. Ooh, a little bit of intervention there from stability control. That's to be expected. This is not a sports car, and it doesn't drive like one. All right, let's make our way out to the highway and test out Blue Cruise. On the way, let's see what this Revel Ultima sound system is like. We've got volume controls on the steering wheel that appear after you hover over them. Lincoln's always done a pretty good job with their Revel sound systems, and this is no exception. It sounds pretty good. It's probably one of the nicer in-car audio systems in the class. A little bit bass heavy, but you can always go and make adjustments in your equalizer. I am getting used to the oval shape of the steering wheel. I don't mind it. It kind of offers a different driving experience, and it looks cool. All right, we'll get up to speed here and engage Blue Cruise. Let's see how this does. All right, we're merging over here. Semi-truck's coming up to the left of us. Taking a little bit of time to get up to speed. All right, engaging cruise control here. We've got our following distance settings on the left. Speed changes up and down, and then Blue Cruise will will just engage for us. It did prompt me to put my hands on the steering wheel around a corner earlier. Let's see if it does again. We're hands-free right now, and it says that on the screen. It's negotiating a lane change. Let's skip 5-mile increments. Let's go up to 80 miles an hour here. A little bit floaty over those highway expansion joints. The car is just kind of teeter-tottering back and forth here between the front and rear axles. And we are at our closest following distance here. Let's see how close this is at highway speeds. Some higher pitched sounds from these tires at speed. We are on concrete, which is typically louder. This feels like a pretty good following distance. Blue Cruise is a nice system. It does work well. Let's bring our speed down here just a little bit. Alright, now it wants me to put my hands back on the wheel around this corner. That is understandable. Pretty comfortable on the highway as a cruiser, and Blue Cruise is a big part of that. Alright, well, how can we sum up some thoughts on the new Lincoln Nautilus? Kind of a mixed bag here. I like the tech. I think the integration of all these screens actually works pretty well. Does it offer that much value or extra information to the driving experience? Probably not. And I think there's something to be said about its cosmetic appeal and kind of perceived luxury, so to speak. Ultimately, this drives like a slightly larger Ford Escape, and that's kind of what it is. That's a $30,000 to $40,000 vehicle. You have to factor in is all the extra luxury, X factor, niceness of this Lincoln Nautilus, the space, the name. Is that worth the extra money? I think in the lower to mid trims, it could be. In this black label, it definitely isn't. This is just too much money for something in this class that really kind of falls short compared to the competition. Compare this to X5, even Genesis, GV80. There's a lot here that just doesn't feel as high quality. This is built in China, so this is a vehicle that is intended for the global market. It feels about the same as every other Lincoln that I've driven over the last decade, maybe a little bit better. Not as many creaks, rattles. Interior feels a little bit better bolted together, if I'm being honest. I feel like some of the tech here might be a bit much and be a bit overwhelming and overstimulating for Lincoln's older demographic. Maybe they're trying to appeal to a newer, younger customer. I do wish this had a head-up display. The screen and everything going on in it while using cruise control and engaging Blue Cruise and changing your settings and looking at what button on your steering wheel is doing which function. It's just a little bit much. It's a little bit low. If I had a head-up display to show me some of this stuff, that might be a little bit easier. That said, once you get the hang of it, it all works. So again, like I said, it's a bit of a mixed bag. There are some things that are really nice about this Lincoln Nautilus. There are some things that I think just don't quite stack up. At the end of the day, it depends on what you prefer, what you value, what you want out of your car. All right, guys, those are my thoughts on the 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. That's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Go check out Winding Road's night drive video on this. I'm sure the ambient lighting will look very cool. That'll be it for me. Take care.